World of Warcraft is not just a game. For nearly 2 decades, it's been a cultural touchstone. It's the MMO that broke into the mainstream, the game that redefined online communities. And for years, it was the king of the hill with no rival in sight. At its peak, WoW had over 12 million active subscribers, making it the most successful MMORPG ever. It spawned memes, commercials, a movie, even made it onto South Park. For a while, WoW wasn't just a game, it was the game. But fast forward to today, and things look very different. Subscriptions are a fraction of what they were. Expansions are met with skepticism. Blizzard has faced scandal after scandal. And perhaps most telling of all, Final Fantasy XIV has overtaken WoW as the dominant MMO. In this video, we're going to do a full deep dive. The rise, the fall, the competition, the struggles at Blizzard, and finally, what the future of World of Warcraft could be.
And the core values that the employees live by.
When WoW launched in 2004, Blizzard wasn't inventing MMOs. Games like EverQuest, Ultima Online, and Dark Age of Camelot already existed. But those games were punishing, confusing, and niche. WoW took the MMO formula and streamlined it without sacrificing depth. Vanilla WoW, which ran between 2004 and 2006. The world of Azeroth was massive, colorful, inviting. Quests were simple but effective, a big shift from EverQuest's grinding heavy design. Combat was accessible but still strategic. Dungeons like Deadmines, Blackrock Depths, and Stratholme became legendary. Raids like Molten Core and Naxxramas set the stage for the MMO raid as we know it. Social dynamics were everything. 40-man raids, server communities, and guild drama. By 2006, WoW had over 5 million subscribers, absolutely unheard of at the time. Then Burning Crusade in 2007. It expanded into the Outland, introduced flying mounts, added arenas for PvP, heroic dungeons for hardcore players. Raids like Black Temple and Sunwell Plateau became benchmarks for difficulty. By the end of TBC, WoW had nearly 10 million subscribers. And then Wrath of the Lich King in 2008. Arthas, Warcraft's most iconic villain, finally took center stage. Cinematic storytelling reached new heights. Ulduar and Icecrown Citadel are still considered one of the greatest raids ever made. The Dungeon Finder tool launched here, a huge innovation, though controversial later. At its peak in Wrath, WoW hit 12 million subscribers worldwide. These first 3 eras are what players call the golden age of WoW. It wasn't just the game design, it was the culture. Everyone knew someone who played WoW. It was the game people skipped school for. The game that ate weekends whole. Vanilla through Wrath wasn't just popular, it was historic.
The world heaves with my torment.
After Wrath, WoW started to age. Some changes were necessary, others weren't, and slowly, the cracks did begin to show. That's when we had Cataclysm in 2010. Deathwing literally shattered the world, revamping old zones. Flying mounts were everywhere, which unintentionally killed world PvP. Heroic dungeons were initially brutal, then nerfed, frustrating both casual and hardcore players. Subscriber count peaked at 12 million, then began its long decline. Mists of Pandaria came out in 2012, initially ridiculed for Kung Fu Pandas. In hindsight, one of the most balanced expansions mechanically. Introduced scenarios, challenge modes, and a strong PvP season. The lore was deeper than people expected. The Sha were metaphors for human emotions. But subs dropped to 7 million. And then Warlords of Draenor in 2014. Strong launch with a record 10 million subs at release. But Garrison's isolated players, making the game feel single player. Promised features like faction capitals were cut. Content droughts lasted over a year. By the end, subs fell below 5 million, the lowest since vanilla. Legion in 2016, a massive comeback. Artifact weapons, class halls, Illidan's return. Mythic plus dungeons revitalized endgame PvE. Still, systems like Artifact Power Grind showed Blizzard's obsession with borrowed power. And then Battle for Azeroth in 2018, one of the most divisive expansions. Azerite armor and endless grinds frustrated players. Storylines felt forced. Sylvanas burning Teldrassil alienated many. Population dropped sharply after launch. And then we come to Shadowlands in 2020. Promised to explore Warcraft's afterlife. Instead, became infamous for convoluted lore, poor storytelling, and endless grind systems. The Covenant system divided players. Content droughts left months with nothing to do. Many consider it the low point in WoW history. By now, the trend was clear. WoW wasn't innovating. It was chasing systems that burned players out. Sub numbers were no longer reported after Warlords of Draenor, a sign that things weren't looking good. Blizzard was losing trust. For years, every MMO was called a WoW killer. Rift, WildStar, Star Wars, they all tried and all failed. But then came Final Fantasy XIV. When Final Fantasy XIV launched, it was a disaster. Broken UI, clunky combat. But then, Final Fantasy XIV launched as a realm reborn, rebuilt from scratch and steadily grew. Then Heavensward and Stormblood showed incredible storytelling. Shadowbringers, widely considered one of the best expansions in MMO history. Endwalker, huge success. Servers literally ran out of space. By 2021, Final Fantasy XIV officially surpassed WoW in active subscribers. Why? Because Final Fantasy XIV respected players' time. Story was central. Expansions felt complete. Communication between developers and fans was clear. Meanwhile, WoW doubled down on grinds and ignored feedback. Other MMOs like Guild Wars 2 and ESO also carved their niches, further pulling away disillusioned WoW players. For the first time, WoW was not the leader. It was a fading veteran. World of Warcraft's decline isn't just about gameplay decisions. It's about Blizzard itself. For a long time, Blizzard was seen as one of the most trusted names in gaming. Their motto, "It's done when it's done," gave fans confidence that every release would be polished, innovative, and player first. But over time, that reputation crumbled. After Blizzard merged with Activision in 2008, players noticed a shift. Deadlines mattered more. Monetization started creeping in. The sense that developers were given unlimited time to craft masterpieces was gone. Microtransactions started small with vanity pets, but later grew into store mounts, WoW tokens, and level boosts. things unthinkable during WoW's peak. Many of the creative leaders who built WoW, Chris Metzen, Rob Pardo, Ghostcrawler, aka Greg Street, left the company. New leadership often seemed more focused on analytics and monetization than on passion and vision. In 2021, the California Department of Fair Employment and Housing filed a lawsuit against Activision Blizzard over a toxic workplace culture. Stories of harassment, discrimination, and misconduct became public. This rocked Blizzard's reputation. Many longtime fans, who had defended the company for years, suddenly saw it in a very different light. Developers walked out. Some left to form indie studios. Blizzard's image as the good guys of gaming was shattered. Communication worsened. Expansions launched with systems players hated. Azerite, corruption, covenants, and feedback was ignored for months or years. Players memed the company's tone deafness from "you think you do, but you don't" about classic servers.
Have you ever thought about adding servers for previous expansions as they were then?
No. And by the way, you don't want to do that either. You think you do, but you don't. Remember when you had to spam cities and say, need a tank, need a tank, need a tank during the Burning Crusade days? You don't remember that because now you just push a button that says go to the dungeon. You don't want to do that. Remember that one bug that really pissed you off that we fixed 2 years ago? Still there in the past.
To the "do you guys not have phones" during Diablo Immortal's announcement.
I was curious. I was curious. I see a lot of mechanics that we've kind of been begging for in Diablo 3 in this. Is there any plans to make this playable on PC, or is this just strictly mobile forever?
Are there any? The current plan is to be on mobile, both Android and iOS. We don't have any plans at the moment to do PC. Do you guys not have phones?
Yeah, you guys all have phones, right?
You can play on your tablet too.
Yes, it's also on the Switch, you're right.
For WoW specifically, this meant expansions that felt corporate-driven instead of creative. Deadlines came before polish. Hype came before substance. And the soul of Blizzard, the spark that made WoW magical, it was missing.
Not while I draw breath.
Today, WoW is in an awkward position. It's not dead. Far from it. Millions still play. Expansions still sell well. But it's no longer the cultural juggernaut it once was. Dragonflight. It was seen as a much-needed step forward. Dragon riding is widely praised. Fast, skill-based, a huge improvement over old flying. Talent trees returned, giving players more customization. The story, while lighter, avoided the overly complex cosmic confusion of Shadowlands. But here's the catch. Dragonflight didn't set the world on fire. It stabilized WoW. It earned goodwill. But it didn't make it exciting. WoW Classic launched in 2019 to massive hype. Nostalgia carried it. For a while, Classic servers were more populated than retail. But over time, Blizzard's decisions frustrated fans. Bots, monetization like the WoW token, and lack of anti-cheat measures hurt Classic's integrity. Now we have Classic Era, Hardcore Classic, Burning Crusade Classic, Wrathlich King Classic, Cataclysm Classic, and now Mist of Pandaria Classic. The community is simply fractured, between retail and multiple versions of Classic. Each has its loyalists, but the unified WoW community of old is completely gone. Now on to competition. Final Fantasy XIV continues to thrive, especially with the latest expansions. Guild Wars 2 still draws in players with its buy-to-play model and active updates. Even new titles like Lost Ark and New World have pulled players away, if only temporary. For many, WoW is still a comfort game, a place to log in, raid, and hang out with friends. But it's no longer defining the MMO space. It's surviving on legacy, not leading with innovation. The community today is smaller, older, and much more jaded. New players are rare. Most people who play WoW have been around for years. That's both a strength and a very great weakness. So right now, WoW feels like a veteran franchise. Respected, but not exciting. Alive, but no longer thriving.
4 years have passed since the mortal races banded together and stood united against the might of the Burning Legion. Though Azeroth was saved, the tenuous pact between the Horde and the Alliance has all but evaporated.
So what happens next? What does WoW need to do to stay alive? Or maybe even reclaim some of its former glory? Number 1, respect the player's time. No more endless grinds that reset every expansion. Players don't want borrowed power that disappears after 2 years. They want meaningful progression that lasts across expansions. Something like a permanent account-wide advancement system. Number 2, storytelling that works. WoW's lore is a double-edged sword. The Warcraft universe is vast and beloved, but recent expansions overcomplicate it. Shadowlands' cosmic lore felt disconnected. Many fans long for grounded, faction-driven stories like in Wrath or Mists of Pandaria. The future should focus on characters we care about, not cosmic forces we barely understand. Modernize the tech. WoW's art style is timeless, but the engine is nearly 20 years old. Players want better graphics, smoother animations, and more modern systems like housing. Other MMOs have passed WoW in tech, and it's time for them to catch up. Embrace community content. WoW's greatest strength is in its community. Add-ons, mods, private servers, fan projects. Players have always pushed WoW forward. Imagine if Blizzard empowered that instead of fighting it. Official modding tools, player housing, community-driven events. And number 5, MMOs live and die by their communities. Over the years, WoW has become more of a single-player experience. Group Finder, flying mounts, instanced everything. These made the world feel empty. To thrive again, WoW needs to make the world social. Incentivize exploration. Bring back server identity. Make players rely on each other again. And finally, we come to the real big question. For years, fans have asked, is it time for World of Warcraft 2? A complete reboot with modern tech, redesigned systems, and lessons from 2 decades of MMO design. The risks? You'd have to sunset or fragment WoW Classic and retail. Players could lose 20 years of progress. The rewards? Hype would be massive. A true WoW sequel could easily dominate again. Whether Blizzard makes a WoW 2 or not, the real future comes down to ambition. Is Blizzard willing to take risks? Or will WoW coast until it fades away? World of Warcraft changed gaming forever. From 2004 to 2010, it was more than just a game. It was the game. It created friendships, rivalries, and memories that will last lifetimes. It defined what an MMO could and should be. But that golden age is gone. Today, WoW is still alive, still respected, but no longer a cultural juggernaut. It's a veteran clinging to its legacy, not a pioneer leading the genre. The future depends on Blizzard's choices. Will they reinvent WoW, modernize it, and respect their community? Or will they simply play it safe, slowly fading into irrelevance while competitors thrive? For me, WoW will always hold a special place, but I want to see it become bold again, to take risks, to matter again. But what do you think? Do you think WoW can ever reclaim its throne? Or is its time over, and the MMO crown now belongs to games like Final Fantasy XIV? Go ahead and let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the history and future of World of Warcraft, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Azeroth's story isn't finished, but where it goes next is up to Blizzard and us.